Right, so here we are this week on Work the Left Side. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined by Adonis Payne, fresh from his weekend at Tidal at Huddersfield against last week's guest. How you doing, man? You right?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Good.
Awesome.
Good. Bit sore after the weekend, but other than that, we're all good.
Yeah, was it a bit brutal?
Yeah, in more ways than one. More ways than one. Not the match in itself, more what occurred afterwards, but I'm sure we'll get into that a bit later on.
Yeah, we'll discuss, because obviously anybody who's watched saw last week's guest had a few choice words at yourself about numerous other people as well, so never short of a word or two. So we'll discuss that in a minute. I'm just going to get the generic box ticked off first of all. Obviously, wrestling. Was you a fan as a kid? Is it something you kind of fell into? Is it something you thought, right, you know, when you was 11, 12 years old, right, that's what I want to do? What was your moment of inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, I always loved it. It was always one of those things that I watched growing up, wanted to be a part of in any way, shape or form, but I never thought that was going to be a true reality. I went down the football route, played football for years upon years, and then when I fell out of that around sort of 19, 20, it was just wrestling. Then I found an academy that was close to me, which is UBW and Square One, and then started training April 2019. COVID then hits, so you stop around a year later, and then all of a sudden we're back, and it's been full throttle since then. But yeah, loved it growing up. It was just one of those things that in the UK I just didn't really think about it as a possibility of as a hobby or a sport, and turns out, yeah, it's very achievable apparently.
Yeah, I think especially now, obviously I've talked to guys that have been around for a while, and they're like sort of saying, you know, they have to drive like 2-3 hours sometimes to go to a class. You know, there's like 5 schools in the country kind of thing. Yeah. But it seems like, you know, you only have to travel like 30 minutes, 40 minutes now to get to a good school kind of thing.
Yeah, so, exactly that.
Definitely makes it a lot more accessible. I suppose that puts more pressure on you guys though, because obviously there's more people doing it. You've got to do what you do to sort of stand out.
Yeah, I mean, there's pressures in every industry and every hobby that you do, regardless of what level you're at. And I think that we get a lot of people that come into training that sort of take it for what it is. They want to learn a sport. You get some people that want to come in and go to the top as far as they can go. I kind of fell into that sort of middle bracket of, I want to give it a go. It's a hobby. It's something to do. But if I can get anywhere with it, then let's see how far we can take it. And nice. I started working shows before COVID stopped, and I started getting more confident in myself, thinking this could actually be a route. And then, like I said, COVID hit, and you're taking 18 months out, and you just don't know whether you're in people's heads as when we come back, are the promoters thinking about me as a possibility going back? So for starters, it's the faith that gets put in you, but we've got to turn up and do the job. And that's what I try to do as best I can. Whether it happens that way all the time is a different question. That's a matter of opinion. But like you say, yeah, there's so many people coming through now. I think when I was training initially, we were in classes of about 6 or 7. Now we've had to put a cap on classes at the training school where I'm at of either 6 in a class or 8 in a class. And you'll sometimes have 4 or 5 on a wait list just waiting for people to drop out. Wow. And yeah, again, like I said, 1 class a week when I first started, and now we're doing 3 different levels. It's gone up rapidly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, the interest there, but you know, you must be doing something right. You're getting bookings, you're working good promotions. So, you know, yeah, that speaks volumes. I don't know as well. Obviously, I've been sort of looking. I was saying to you when I was trying to find a picture to use, you know, for the graphic. Yep. Main one that I kept seeing with you with like the sword on your back kind of thing. I was getting like very, I don't know. I saw the merch on the horse, like a Game of Thrones, possibly, or I don't know, some Highlander Braveheart kind of thing. But it seems now, based on the latest pics, I think you even said on your social medias, you know, you're evolving.
Yeah,
so you're finding yourself within yourself, I guess.
It's very much one of those things where I wanted to go down a strong character route with the Adonis name. I mean, initially I picked that out just because it was ironic, because I was really skinny, underweight, and I just thought it would be funny that this little skinny kid was coming out of the curtain calling himself Adonis, and he was far from it. But I wanted to lean into that when we came back from COVID, bring out the sword, bring out a cape. You know, eventually I ordered some armor. But just as it happened when we formed the tag team, the Odyssey, and the way that I've been working lately, it just didn't suit me. I just didn't feel like that was me in the ring. I think, of course, I can lean into that character quite a lot. Obviously, my moniker is the Conqueror, and that will always be that way. That will always remain. But I just think that right now, I just lost the will to have it with me. I just didn't think I needed it. And, you know, people's opinions differ. I get some people that say, oh, what happened to all of your get up? And I mean, the main reason is it was a pain in the ass to carry around and put on and off. But and also swords at a family show venue probably aren't the best of ideas either. So there was a few promoters that were again like, can we please drop it? And I'm like, yeah. So until I can find something more practical, more usable, I think it would just be me and in one of my merch t-shirts, or maybe we'll come up with something soon.
Yeah, like I say, unless you're like Drew McIntyre, you've got the WWE lawyers behind you, you can't really be walking out on a family show with a massive sword.
Yeah, well, that was another thing. I started using the Claymore when I first started training as a finish because I thought it'd be a good move to use. And then I started pulling out the sword, and then I look on TV and I see that Drew's got the sword, and obviously Drew's known for the Claymore. I'm like, I just can't be a Drew McIntyre number 2. As much as that poor little red cape I had, or the armor that I invested in, was a massive telling difference. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I don't want to fall into that bracket.
Yeah, as soon as you've got that thought in your head, you can't escape from it, can you? Yeah. Really? You just sort of like, whether it was true or not, as soon as you think it, like, nah, that's it, I'm out, I'm done, can't do that. It's cool. It's a cool thing. Visually, obviously, it'll look awesome. But the gear that you've got now, I think there was kind of some like middle ground where you could kind of find a mesh of kind of both. It's just finding it. It's what you're comfortable in, isn't it?
I mean, I call them the Murphy shorts or the Dean Allmark shorts, whatever you want to sort of reference them to. That's very much the inspiration that I took from my gear but it was also along the lines of wanting to go down that similar sort of Spartan cloth look, and sort of make it more to what I would wear rather than just literally wearing a Spartan Trojan cloth. So that's the gear design. I've got 2 more sets on the way as well. So it's very much, that's the way I'm going. And like you say, I think that's easily evolvable. I can easily just get a jacket or something that can mesh with that really well. And yeah, it's about time I started investing in myself. I think it's one of the things that people don't often take into consideration with wrestling is it's not just we get this stuff from a random shop and we go on and put on a show and it's all cheap and cheerful and we're making loads of money out of it. You know, to be successful in this, you've got to invest in yourself. And that comes from whether you're ordering a load of t-shirts to try and make some profit out of to fund new gear. And I just think that for the guys that are at the very top, the amount of investment they must have made in themselves, it's just a credit to them that they were either able to hold down full-time jobs whilst doing it or make enough out of this by being so successful to be able to invest in themselves.
Yeah, that's it. It's what people don't sort of think about with really is like, you say, the cost, you know, the gear. I mean, yeah, I've sort of known people over the years, you know, get generally excited when the new gear arrives or stuff. And it's like, but it's good to see because obviously, yeah, you know, that's them investing in themselves. I mean, you're not going to invest in yourself, who is kind of thing. But yeah, you can kind of see the more established people get, the quality, the gear kind of improves. You know, it's a kind of like, I think we were talking about, throw an old school name out here. I talked to Sash last week about Chris Travis, like when he first started, he just had like tracky bottoms on. And obviously, like before, you know, he passed, like some of his gear was like awesome. Kirby's gear, it was very customized with the little Kirby on. Just stuff like that. You can kind of see the longer you're here, the more money you make, the more comfortable you feel, the more you start to invest in yourself and you spend that money and get it in return.
I think it's obviously the well-known thing of people will tell you at the start when you're first training, don't invest in a £600 set of gear or however much it will cost, because if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, you don't want to have lost that money. But I think in the same breath, you don't want to do what I did, which is where I had bought an old pair of tights off Sunset Skip. I was wearing Venom MMA tights for a while, but it just, you know, to look the professional aspect, I've got Venom logos, which is obviously accustomed to MMA dripping all over me, which has no reference to wrestling or my gear. You know, I'm very much just advertising something else. It's not tailored to me. And I think there's got to be a degree where you kind of go, no, invest in yourself from the off. If you believe that this is something that you want to do, then, but I think, yeah, maybe not quite the £600 sets of gear that you might see on, say, like Charles Crowley today or something. I can't confirm if that's how much he spent on him. I don't know, but his gear is just second to none.
Yeah, well, shout out. I don't know if they're still about, if they're still doing it, but I remember back in the day, it was a company called Vic Stitch, and they did a lot of people's gear, and they were awesome. So, but again, don't know the prices. I don't think it was overly expensive. So, but yeah, like I said, it's a progression. The longer you're in the business, the better your gear gets. I think that's kind of a trademark.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, my current set that I'm wearing now was done by J&J Creations, who have got a massive wait list at the minute, and that's the thing, like we referenced earlier, the more wrestlers that are coming in, these gear makers, when you've only got, say, 5 or 6 or 7 around the country that are very well known, their wait lists get back up, and you're waiting for 4 months for an order to turn into gear, just because that's the way it goes. So I think if there's any other gear makers that aren't as busy, there's probably quite a few wrestlers looking.
That's it. But again, I'm presuming it gets very like you just said. Then you've got your company. You trust their gear. You trust their product.
Exactly. It's everybody's like catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, you're not going to take a gamble and like you know, somebody else could recommend it, but you're like, no, I know these guys. I know they're good. Yeah. I'm going to stick with these guys, even if it means I've got to wait 4 months. Yeah. That's
exactly that.
I can't fault you, right? But yeah, the gear looks good anyway. So I'd say stick with them. They seem to be doing a bang up job.
Thank you, mate.
So yeah, so you mentioned sort of Odyssey. People who know you could kind of sort of have seen you in singles, have seen you as, you know, as part of the Odyssey. Character wise, are you quite happy doing both, or do you prefer one to the other?
Well, do you know what? I think if you would have asked me this a week ago, I would have said to you that I was happy doing both. But I had my first singles match in such a long time this Saturday just gone at one of my home promotions. I didn't have Artemis with me. I couldn't tag out, and honestly, I blew up. I was so gassed. I mean, I think we went for about 15, which was quite long anyway. But I think that really gave me it was definitely an insight into the fact that when you're focused so much on tag wrestling, you almost forget that about cardio. So that one was on me, but still got through it. Still had a good match, which was really good. But it definitely opened my eyes. I am happy doing either. I would take whatever I could get, really. There's nothing like tagging with one of your best mates and having someone there on the road. I think throughout the whole of June, we worked out earlier because we were at the gym together, that me and Artemis throughout June have got 6 shows penciled in, and every single one of them we're tagging together, which is really lovely when that comes together and we're working hard together and we're seeing the results. But at the same time, you know, I do like doing things on my own as well. But, you know, I've got the best of both worlds at the minute. Some weeks I'm tagging, some weeks I'm going it alone. More often than not tagging, but I think that's a testament to how well we work as a team rather than anything else.
I think as well that's obviously the good thing about the UK scene is that there's that many promotions. You can be established in one place as a singles, you can be established in another as a tag, and it doesn't affect like your bookings. You're going to get booked on either for whatever they want for that show. And it doubles your bookings, because if they want tag teams, they've got that as an option. If they want a singles, you know, they've got that as well, kind of thing. So would you definitely say then that kind of, again, not really, well, I suppose I've thought about it, because you always think, right, if people are kind of injured or they wanted to be treated lightly, they can put them in a tag match and be protected. So when you're doing singles, your cardio has to be next level, kind of thing, would you say?
I think your cardio for wrestling has to be next level anyway. I think it's one of those ones where, for me personally, just off this weekend, it was that I forgot that there was not a rest period in singles matches. Like when you tag out in a tag match, you've got that sort of minute or two to just breathe and suck air or whatever else. But I obviously both take a toll on you. We've done matches before between me and Artemis where we've gone for, say, 20, 25 minutes, and there's no getting out of blowing up when you go that long, regardless of whether you're legal or not, because there's so many moving parts. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's quite a hard one. I think you've got to have a level of consistency with your cardio levels, regardless of what you do. But
I think, oh, I was going to say in tags, I think obviously you get that 1 or 2 minute rest period, but thinking about it, I think tag matches can be more explosive at certain points. So
yeah,
that's a bit. You might get the rest, but you've got to have that snap, that burst at any given point during the match, kind of thing, more than a
yeah. I
single.
think initially when I started, I only ever wanted to be a singles guy, and I think Artemis was the same. And then all of a sudden, we formed this tag team off the back of a joke conversation, and ever since our first match, we just fell in love with it. Just, I think the whole aspect of, like you say, I think the pop for a hot tag is
Yeah,
so much better than a pop for just a double down up for the comeback in a singles match, because you've got that. Please make the tag, and then the tag comes in, your fresh partner comes in and starts clearing house. There's just a lot of excitement to it. And especially and I'm pretty sure most tag teams are the same as us, when you're working with one of your best friends every weekend, you've got someone you're traveling with, someone you're talking to, getting food with after shows. And it's just because, I mean, I've not traveled to many shows on my own, or when I do travel on my own, there's always people that I'm meeting there that I know. I've never been in the dark with that. But when you go to a new promotion, like recently when we went up to Tidal, and you don't know many people there, like I think that was going back in January when we came to Tidal the first time, and you don't know too many people in the locker room because of that north-south divide,
yeah.
you've got someone to lean on already, that you don't necessarily feel isolated. Not that you ever do in these locker rooms. I think British wrestling is one of those scenes at the minute which has just developed and evolved into this really welcoming environment.
Yeah, Scotty, I had Scotty Rawk talking about that a while ago. And he sort of said, I think it was as a result of, like the global bastards, COVID,
Yeah,
that since everybody's come back, everybody's like a little bit more grateful, a little bit more
yeah,
appreciative, to be there. And it's just everybody's a little bit more supportive of each other now, kind of thing. It doesn't seem to be like the boys' club or as cliquey as it did,
yeah.
5, 6 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what a guy as well, Scotty Rawk is, by the way. What a talent. But just on that note, he was one of the guys that I've met just this year gone, and straight away I can sit like this past weekend out in the locker room having a chat for him for half an hour like we're old mates, or just, talking anything. It doesn't matter what the conversation is. And it's that kind of environment where you don't get this, oh, who's this new guy? Is he good enough? Let's watch his match before we have a chat with him. Everybody's just welcoming and wants to help you. Again, with Tidal, in terms of discussing matches and plans and anything like that, we had a locker room this weekend which had Bullet, Scotty Rawk, Sam Gradwell, Ace Matthews, and you can just sit and talk to those guys about anything, and it's just a bucket of knowledge, rather than they've got every right to go, not talking to him, don't know him.
Yeah.
But no one has ever appeared like that to me since we've come back from COVID, which is really my only experience of wrestling, because I didn't work any other promotions other than my home one before then. So for
No,
that,
that's cool. It sounds like it does seem like I say, just a really positive kind of, like I say, very welcoming now, very sort of like, okay, yeah, you're one of us. Let's go out. Let's just put on a good show, kind of thing. Obviously,
and I
everybody
think
wants to stand out, but everybody wants to put on a solid show overall as well, kind of thing.
exactly that. I was just going to say the product just gets better because of it, because everyone's got a higher morale. The product's going to be better. If you're sat in a locker room and you're down, sad, or in a mood or whatever, your product's not going to be as good as if you go out there ready to work and happy where you are.
Yeah. Well, we say positive. We'll sidebar into cash money on the side of a positive locker room. Obviously, he had some stuff to say last week. I know, obviously, he was in a tag match against him this weekend. How was that experience?
Oh, well, I saw Sash with his with one of his tag team titles. So
Yeah.
I thought I'd bring my two in for this one, just to
Ooh.
one up him a little bit. He's probably going to be seething at the sight of it. But it was funny actually, because his championship belt, the Win Tag Team titles, based in Northampton, is what that title was. And it just so happens that on June the 3rd, the Odyssey are coming to debut in a #1 contenders gauntlet. So I don't think he'll be holding on to that for too long.
Nice.
Well, I mean, I suppose it depends actually whether he just sits and hides behind his giant, or whether he wants to keep fighting properly.
Yeah, you can kind of depends what the strategy is going to be, but I think it'll very much be hide behind the big man and let them take the brunt of it.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but that's what happened this weekend. I suppose we were on top until Gallus comes out and starts clearing house, and then he gets a little roll up and takes the credit. But I don't know. Sash is, in fairness, Sash is a terrific talent. He's very good at what he does. The only trouble with Sash is he's such an unlikable person that you just want to punch him in the face. You know, you can't knock him. They've won championships together. Clearly, he's had a lot of success. And, you know, he got one over on me this weekend. Fair enough. But I just wish he would be more likable.
Yeah. It's it was definitely an experience talking to him. That's as far as I'll go with that one. But yeah, obviously you've had a match. There's always next time. Thing is with Tidal, obviously it's a great promotion. I think once you've been there once or twice, you pretty much become a regular. The fans take to the talent really well, and the times that I haven't been as much recently, but like I always used to go back in the day. And yeah, it was very much. I presume it's still the same, especially it's somewhere like the parish. The atmosphere is just very like welcoming. It pulls you in, and
yeah, the parish is. It's been a great venue so far. I mean, I've done the 2 or 3, I think, there, but the parish has always been a great venue. Fans, like you say, are straight on board with you. I think our debut was crammed in there. You know, there was people down the side of the ring standing up. It was literally like sardines on one of the sides for that first show back, and it was just an incredible experience. But Tidal for me now has become a lot more serious after this weekend. Beyond the sash, whatever that was, Gallas driving me into the ring post at the end of the match. I just went and got into a scuffle, tried breaking up Scotty Rawk and Bullet's little post-match fight that they decided they wanted to have, and Bullet thought it was a great idea to do more damage to my back by choke slamming me on the side of the ring. So for me now, if I'm back at Tidal, there's one target that I want. There's one target.
Yeah, rightly so. And I think if the man in charge has got any sense, he knows that'll be money and he'll get it booked. And
yeah, I'm hoping so. I mean, I think a lot of people are probably worried about my safety going in there with Bullet. You're talking there's no hiding it, one of the biggest stars in the country, one of the most powerful guys in the country. But I've been raised as a fighter, and even if I get my ass handed to me for 8 to 10 minutes, I'll be walking out of that potential match if it ever happens. I think with Bullet's respect, because I'm not staying down and I'm gunning for him in an ironic term.
But yeah, I think that is wrestling at its core. I speak to a few people, and it's always very much good guy versus bad guy, David versus Goliath. You want to see the big guy against the little guy. So you want that sort of dynamic. Look back and think about some of the great matches. It's always been like, it's not my favorite guy, but like the Hogan slamming Andre. That's an iconic moment. It's big guy, little guy, but not so little, but big guy, bigger guy. Sort of, or Kevin Nash, Rey Mysterio from WCW. Yeah. Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar. Yeah. That kind of sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think that dynamic, obviously one-on-one competition, it's a money spinner, isn't it? Because you just know that what you're expecting. You're expecting the big guy on top, and can the smaller guy overcome him? But I think now you see a lot less of those monsters around. Yeah, that you're seeing a lot more sort of evenly matched technical wrestling. So when it does pop up, it is quite enjoyable because it's sort of a throwback. It's not as much of a norm anymore to be 7 foot tall and 300 pounds or whatever it is, 400 pounds. Whereas now, like nowadays, like when you see Gallus, when we were stood across from Gallus trying to knock him down, it was just like trying to chop a tree down with your bare hands. It just doesn't happen. I don't even think we managed it. I managed to drop kick him out of the ring and he still managed to stay on his feet. It can be an impossible task.
Oh, that's it. But that's the challenge, and that's the story that's to be told. People know you're going to want to try and do it, and then it's just a progression of doing it. So obviously you mentioned your home promotion. what have you got lined up there? You got obviously you'll have numerous shows coming. Well, because you talked about you've got numerous bookings in June.
Yeah.
Where you traveling around next month?
Yeah, it's busy. So we've got Win in Northampton on the 3rd. We've been penciled in for Jurassic Pro on the 4th, which is over in Essex way, Harwich kind of way. Don't know what we're doing there yet. We've not been told. We just know that we're penciled in. I think on the 10th, we're at Pro Wrestling East in Cambridge, which is coinciding with the same date as our home promotion, UBW, which is where we're tag team champions of. But East have got us first. So if we can do the double, we might try and make it work. But I think it's unlikely. So we're going to enter the money pit on the 10th and try and win the East tag team titles. Nice. Then on the 11th, we're defending our United Tag Team Championships at United Pro, which is in Oxford, which is a great venue. That's in an ale house, that one. So cool. That one's a really good night out for some of the fans that go there. Some of them have a few too much, but as you would, if you're there for 3 or 4 hours, you're going to, and yeah.
Yep.
And then what have we got near the end of the month? Sacrifice Pro on the 18th, which is great promotion in Bedford. I would say that Sacrifice Pro is close to me as well. It's a charity-run organisation. It's completely non-profit for the wrestlers. We go there and do it off our own back. All the profits made from that show go to charity. So it's just a great promotion to sort of get behind and support. And some of the storytelling that comes out of it is fantastic. The guy who runs it, Lee, who's Hustle Malone, is just different class as well in terms of his mindset and his thinking and his mind for the business. And then at the 24th, I think we're DOA. So all tag team wrestling. It's going to be a busy June.
Nice, man. Hopefully, obviously, get a few more belts or get a few more #1 contendership spots.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be 2 in there.
#1 contendership. So, Sacrifice, man. I'm not. Obviously, there's happening promotions around. I know a few promotions, more local ones and the bigger name ones and stuff. I've not heard of Sacrifice before, but that sounds like really, really very cool.
I think Sacrifice have been running for 5-6 years now. I can't remember. It's the anniversary show that we've got coming up in June. I want to say it's either 5 or 6 years old now. So they've been around for a while. We're now kind of running up a bit. I don't know if you might know. Oh, you would know Act 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, they work there consistently. They're always a part of the team. 2 great lads. They've held the tag team championships there, I think, once or twice now. Down at Sacrifice. Kyle Kingsley is another one.
I've probably heard the name, but it's stuck. But I didn't know about the charity side of it.
Yeah, it's all charity run, so in that sense it's brilliant. And I think Hustle as well, who runs it, understands that if you've got a booking clash on the same day for a paid booking, he encourages us to go and take the paid bookings over the Sacrifice ones, which, on one standpoint is nice. But I think a lot of us, if we take a booking and we're going to honour that booking, especially as well, because it's for a great cause, the charities change month by month. So 1 month we might do a show for St. John's Ambulance. Next, it'll be a different charity, always constantly moving, trying to raise money for as many causes as we possibly can.
Cool. Well, I'll find them on socials and put the links in and stuff, because I can get people following them and get more eyes on them and stuff. That's
amazing. Amazing. Yeah, as well. They're another one as well, which are really good with YouTube. They get all of their shows on YouTube within about a month of them being done. So all the cameras get edited. I think Hustle does that off his own back as well. There's commentary with it. Ollie Spring, who does the progress commentary, and TJ Lee, we've got sat next to him on comms for those ones.
Sweet. Okay, well, yeah, I'll get the YouTube link posted on them as well. So yeah, if you're possibly watching this, look in the descriptions and go check them out, because it's in the wrestling world, it's nice to be nice. It's nice to hear somebody doing stuff for charity and stuff like that. So all for that.
It's really fun down there as well. Really fun.
Yeah, that's it. I suppose it must be like a different atmosphere, kind of. I don't know whether it'd be less weight on your shoulders. You kind of, because it's for charity. Obviously, people are still see a show. So you want to put a show on. Yeah,
it's a properly run show. I think for me as well, coming through UBW, which is sort of say 40 minutes away. The way that it was put to me is, look, this is a chance, different promotion to your home one, in front of new fans, get some eyes on you. So as much as we're not getting paid, you're getting more eyes on you. And there's some big talent that come down. You know, we've had Bolarama and Elijah come down on the last show and work for us. Well, for Sacrifice, Charles Crowley, Clementine, the 8-7, they've all been a part of it in the past year. And it's really fun storylines as well. Like I'm going through a storyline at the minute where I've lost my surname. So I'm currently committing identity fraud and gimmick infringement on what was WWE talent and is now BritWres talent. So I think I was dressed up as Tommy Kyle a few months ago, which was a lot of fun. So it's just a case now of what do I do next?
Break out the sword and the claymore again. You could
Well,
be
I can't because that's me. It's against the rules if I start using my own stuff. That's the point.
That's a loophole, though. You can find the loophole, so you can be like, no, it's not me. It's not me. It's Adonis McIntyre. So, yeah, it sounds like got a banging. What's the travelling like then? Because I know a lot of wrestlers travel. Like I said, it's got to be better when you're in the car with somebody. How do you find it when you're by yourself? Then you generally still in the car with somebody, or do you just make the drive yourself? Or
I think a lot of the times at the minute I'm hardly ever in the car by myself. Obviously, when you've got so many tag bookings, you're always with your tag partner and vice versa. And especially with Tidal, I was in a car with a few people coming up because for the promotions as well, one car instead of three is a lot cheaper on fuel. So for them, it's almost they're doing us a favor by paying us to do the booking. And, you know, we'll work for them, but as a little bit of leeway, we'll travel all in one car. I think it's very rare that I'll do a journey over an hour on my own if I can help it. I will have a long one coming up at the end of May, but that's because I'm doing a double, which is my own choice and my own reason and my own fault. So that one will be on me. But other than that, I think it is a lot more fun when you're traveling with someone, especially when the tiredness kicks in. Because that's inevitable. When you work a show, your rush of adrenaline's up here. When that tiredness kicks in, if you have someone there with you that's chatting, you're just constantly on it. And you can take shifts driving as well. I mean, I don't find the traveling too bad. Even if it's a 3-4 hour journey, I don't mind it too much because if you've got someone with you, you can break it up and have a laugh with it. It's just spending time with your mates, isn't it?
Does I take it driver picks music? There's never an argument about music as. Or does it help if you've got everybody who's got the same sort of taste? Or have you always got that one person who wants to listen to boy bands?
In my car, it's definitely I pick the music. I think in Meme's car as well, he's got the music on. And I think a lot of it is because you've got that CarPlay now, which is where the maps come up from. So it's almost like, well, I've got to be on the music kind of thing. But there's been a few cars where people have sent texts like, what do you want to listen to? And I'll create a playlist. But I don't go to that much effort. You're in my car. You're in my car. My music's going on. I'm driving. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't drive, but my other half does, and it's always like, she drives, she picks the music. Bosh. Yeah. I think she's got a Supernatural T-shirt that says "Driver picks music." I was like, okay, right, you've got the T-shirt, it's official. I'm not messing with that. So,
I'd like to think I've got a broad range of music though that my playlist wouldn't upset anybody. So, but I'm yet to have any complaints, but I'm sure there will be coming forwards.
I totally lost my train of thought. I was thinking about music and playlists now. What's actually got then? Hit me up. What would be top 5 bands for road travel?
Oh, well, at the minute, I would say that I've got quite a mix going on that's ranging from loads of different people. I'm a big fan of Nashville country music, so I'll either have Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen in there. That's a couple. There are a couple that I'll have on the playlist. Obviously, your classic sort of mainstream Ed Sheeran, Justin Timberlake's, your Kanye West, just to sort of fill the gaps. I'm going through a bit of a Savage Garden hype at the minute with To the Moon and Back, so that's constantly on repeat in the car. It's a bit of a throwback. What else have we got on there? It's such a wide variety. I think there's loads of Nickelback in there, which again is going to bring positive or negative reaction. Arctic Monkeys, 1975. I've basically got a playlist where I just added a load of various different songs that it would appease to everyone. And when I'm in the car on my own, in some moods, I'll put that on. So if I'm not feeling listening to a certain album or whatever,
That's awesome. But yeah, man, that's a good mixture. I'm very much the same. Like my playlist can jump from like Stevie Wonder to Five Finger Death Punch to Richie. Yeah, just like say Luke Combs, Struggle Jennings. It's all over the shop. So it's the best way to be.
Yeah, exactly that. And then you can't upset anybody either as well.
Exactly, except maybe with Nickelback. Maybe.
Maybe, depending on who you talk to. I don't understand the hate Nickelback get, really. I don't see it.
No, I think it's very easy to target. You know, they're kind of like the Hulk Hogan of wrestling. You know, it's very easy just to pop at them and just be like, one of the cool kids because you don't like them, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly that.
They are. They're Bon Jovi version 2 kind of thing. They're a stadium rock band. And you can sing along. Jobs are good, especially when you're in the car. You know, that's it. So
exactly that.
Back to the wrestling. Obviously, Tidal. Talked about your bookings next month. Any promotions on your list that you sort of looking? How do you go about getting the bookings? Do you send stuff out? Do you wait for people to contact you? Are you proactive with it, or do you just kind of?
I've been very fortunate. I mean, a few of my bookings have come from me turning up at their shows, obviously with permission from the promoters, and traveling with friends and helping out, whether that be filming, music, just running stuff back and forth, or just helping set up the ring. But I've been very fortunate so far that a lot of companies have reached out to us, and I don't know if that's because there's a shortage of tag teams, if it's, maybe because they just wanted us. We've been blessed with a few very good friends that have batted for us and that have said, look, you need to book these guys, they won't let you down. We've got the booking, and then we've had the return bookings afterwards. With Tidal specifically, that came from, I think Memes started getting booked up at Tidal when they came under new ownership, and because we're a part of the Meme team, which is a stable, so the Odyssey goes along with Memes, and we have this trio. So he went to bat for us straight away and said, look, these guys are coming up. They're about a couple years in. They're looking for bookings, if you've got a chance. And we've been very lucky with it. I mean, there's a number of ways you can reach out, send footage. I think your social media content obviously plays a part and helps. The more eyes on your content, the more eyes on you. But for me, the easiest way of doing it is just going and supporting wrestling. Whether it's you turn up at a show and buy a ticket, like me and one of my friends, Josh Spicer, did at East. We went and supported Artemis, who was having a singles match, bought a ticket, sat in the crowd, went and chatted to the promoters afterwards, and then, they've asked for the tag team in the money pit. So for me, it's just, you support, you put in what you get out. If you spend your free weekend sat at home recovering, which sometimes you do need to do, I'm not saying that, but if you have like a few on the spin and you can spare a day or however long just to go and watch a show, I think it's worth it if you can speak to promoters and network.
Yes, network. I think that's like Scott said. I think it's the right combination of networking, having people like say go to bat for you.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's a very word of mouth kind of industry as well, where people are saying, like as you said there about tag teams. I don't know for definite, but I go to see like True Grit a lot, and they've done a big thing on the world title, also had the heavyweight title. Season 2 was the women's division, and also I don't know, but on YouTube they do like seasons and every season's got a different focal point. And at some point I would presume they're gonna have to focus on tag team division, crowning new tag team champions. So I could see them, reaching out and trying to get. They've got a good selection of tag teams at True Grit already, but I could see, Odyssey, hopefully. Well, for my sake, I would like to see, I've just, seen you guys, what you guys can do. I think it'd be awesome. I'd love to see a True Grit show.
Hope to. True Grit's another one where I've seen Act 2 who are smashing it everywhere, so they're getting booked wherever. But I'd love to be a part of them. We've never actually worked together. I've known them for well over a year now, and I've never managed to work with them. So that they are on my bucket list of teams to work. So if that ever happened, if True Grit are listening, then we'll travel up.
Sweet. Because there's them, Crash Boat, another good tag team at the minute that are doing the rounds. Yeah,
Crash Boat again. Met them this weekend at Tidal. They're fantastic. They're so good. They were in the 8-man #1 contenders scramble or whatever it was. It was just carnage, but those two just are so clean together.
I think tag team wrestling is on the rise again, kind of thing.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Man. Like you said, it just it adds a different dimension to a show. Obviously, like I said, single wrestling is great, but you can't beat that hot tag. You can't beat that, like I said, explosion of the clearing house. And for a period, it sort of seemed like there was some tag teams out there, but they were just kind of makeshift. Where it actually started to feel now like tag teams are actual teams again.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where there are a lot of tag teams around. It's just a lot of people find success in singles and then they go their separate ways, and you're kind of left with that. But there's so many tag teams around. I mean, when we won the United Pro Wrestling titles, we had a triple threat, no disqualification tornado tag, which sounds horrendous. Like, it sounds like it's just going to go awfully and it's just going to be a mess about. But when you've got that dynamic, you're working against four people, but they're all there was so many different twists and turns of the way that match could have gone, and we managed to work it really well. We were very fortunate that we were in there with the 8-7 Roy Johnson and Alexander Roth and Harry Sefton and Rex Armstrong, that it was just so well put together, and the way that we did it, it went really, really well. But there was so many dangers to it. But that different element of just changing it from standard tag to tornado tag really then just shifted the gears up a level.
Yeah, because like I said, we're going back. It's a whole different. You don't have the singles dynamic. You don't have the hot tag moment from tag team wrestling. Yep. You basically it's a singles match, but with your partner. Yeah. So it's a whole of that's a third angle you've got.
Yeah, it was really bizarre, but probably one of my favorite matches that I've ever done, just because of the culmination of everything coming together, the end of the tournament, and just the way that we'd made it work and how we'd managed to get the fans on board with it. I think as soon as they heard it was no DQ, which automatically means it's tornado tag, you don't need to tag in and tag out. Being the only heels in that match as well really added to that element for us, because it just then, we were the bad guys. The fans desperately wanted either of the other two teams to win. We were the last resort. We couldn't win. So when we introduced the weapons near the back end of the match and start raising hell and beating all of these fan favorites with chairs and whatever we could get our hands on, it just opened it up to, oh yeah, I forgot about that element of this match. It's not just 6 guys scrapping. They can do whatever they want.
Nice. And that's cool as well. Like I say, if you wait till sort of like the second or third act to start breaking those out, you say the fans are not invested in it. You go into the match knowing it's no DQ, but that sits at the back of your head. You're just watching the match, watching the moves, enjoying everything, and then it's like, oh shit, fuck, we forgot we could literally, you could club somebody with a chair. Right, okay, here we go.
I mean, the way the match was put together, we definitely built it up in those stages. So it was like, okay, we're just going to start off wrestling, and then we're going to go to a scrap, and then we're going to go to introducing the no DQ rule, which was when we hit a low blow on 2 of them, and then started running the heat. And then there was the big comeback, and all 6 of us were on the floor. And then it was, right, how do we finish this? Let's try and maximize the amount of hate we could possibly get. And it was just straight go under the ring, get the chairs out, and start raising hell. And that was pretty much the culmination. We didn't get hit with anything. It was just us smacking them. Oh, I think I might have lost you here.
Sorry, dude, still there? Sorry, mate.
Yeah,
my phone just lost me. Yeah, right, okay, I'll sort that out. Is it still recording? Yeah,
no worries.
Sorry, dude. You literally say like 3 stages. It sounds like, the mindset like a 3 stages of hell match. So wrestling, scrapping, weapons, and low.
That was it. We basically just put that in that environment and just crammed it into however long. I think we had like 15 to 20 minutes. So we had to tell quite a large story in a short space of time. Because initially it was a tag team title tournament where we'd won the quarterfinals and semi-finals, and the other 2 teams had only won a quarterfinals, but the dates just didn't align up, so they couldn't end up facing each other. And initially, I think the plan was for Harry Sefton and Rex Armstrong to do the double against Roth and Roy Johnson, where they were going to face each other on the night in a semi, and then the winners would face us in the finals. But the promoters decided we're the dastardly heels that deserve punishing for cheating our way to the final, so they'll give us both of them. And I'll be honest, I walked out of that match thinking, yeah, we've put on match of the night. There's no beating it. And not 5 minutes later, Scotty Rawk and Kira Chimera go and tear the house down. And I was looking over the balcony going, okay, this show's just great then, is it? Like,
that's it, man. To be fair, though, I think also yours would stand out because you tend to remember a good singles match and then you remember a good tag team match.
Yeah.
Palace probably would have gone home thinking like both matches, stop the show for
Oh yeah,
reasons.
Absolutely. But without a doubt, that Scotty and Kira match was just 10 out of 10. It was perfect the way that they'd done it. It couldn't have gone any more perfectly, in my opinion, from a watching standpoint.
That's awesome. Again, it just seems to be like a running pattern on this show. It's just Scotty is awesome. I thought we might just create a hashtag that says Scotty is awesome, and then we'll
and he was able to carry my whole weight out of Tidal as well when I buckled my knee this weekend. So he is a real hero.
Wow. How is the knee? Is it healing up? Is it?
Yeah, luckily it's just a grade 1 tear of my MCL, so it's only a minor one. Grade 1's like the lowest, so it'll be a 1 to 2 week recovery with a bit of rehab. I'll have it taped up and strapped up. Fortunately, I'm not going to miss any dates, so that's a positive, because going into obviously June, like I said, being so busy, I was fearing the worst when it happened, but luckily it's a very minor one.
You just mentioned obviously during the tornado tag working heel. You talked about Tidal earlier. Obviously, when you're in the ring with Sash, you mentioned it before I started recording. It's very easy because he gets all the heat. You can be the baby face, and you're the best baby face in the world when you're in the ring against Sash because he's just likable. To the fans, I'm not saying that. So, what's your preference, man? How do you find what suits you better? Do you prefer one over the other? Is one easier than the other?
Do you know what? I've only recently started doing a lot of face work. That was very much a change for this year. Everywhere I'd seem to work, it was always Adonis is a heel. That's him. That's how I started training. That's how I came into this. And then recently we've done a big face turn at our home promotion as the tag team. And I think you just adjust to how the fans react to you. Obviously there's an art form to it, but when the fans are up for you and they support you, especially when you tell long-driven storylines, being involved in it, and they're going to support you regardless, I think that obviously makes your life so much easier. I quite like being a heel. I think it's one of those age-old sayings. It's easy to walk through a curtain and within 5 seconds get someone to dislike you than it is to get someone to like you. So I think on that respect, I much prefer being a heel, because all you've got to do is walk out, shout some names at one of the fans, and you're going to get booed. Whereas as a face, it's hard to grab people's attention by just storming through a curtain and going, right, why should they cheer for this guy? Why is he the good guy? What's his purpose, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Why is he likable?
You don't want to be the generic vanilla baby face.
Exactly that.
That's just going to get you booed, but in a bad way kind of thing. You don't want to get booed if you're meant to be face. It's just like, I can imagine it being easier. Just like say, it's just easy to piss people off in general, So, but do you have do you find, or I don't know, subconsciously, is your move set different if you're face or heel? Do you tend to sort of...
Definitely. It's one of those ones where I used to get told off so much by one of my head trainers for wanting to learn moves that were considered too facey. Now, for me, I don't think that there's such thing. I think you can do a cool move and still be an arsehole, but there's some respects where it does make sense. Like if I'm a heel, I'm not going to do a head scissors or a hurricane rana or a diving crossbody. I don't need to, because I'm going to be in control and I'm never going to be in that position really. So I think in that regard it does change, but I don't think it changes because certain moves are face moves and certain are heel moves. If I'm a heel, I'm in control for a majority of the match, that I don't need to go run off and fight and dive on someone, or like I said, give them a head scissors. I can then focus on breaking down a certain body part and inflicting as much pain as possible. Because when I was a heel, there was some flashy moves that I do, but you know, like I said, it's just the way that you do them. You can hit a great spine buster and you can pop up like the Rock and shake the ropes like the Warrior and really go for it and get the fans involved, or you can hit a great spine buster and start talking shit to the guy that's on the floor and everybody in the crowd. You're going to get the different reaction depending on what you do.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's certain moves that I don't, again, this is from a fan, totally from a fan's perspective, that I would deem as being done as like comeback moves, like so I said, the high crossbody, certain moves, and a heel should never be in that situation. They're never going to bust out a comeback. They're never going to want to get the fans on the feet in excitement that, oh shit, they're coming back. I think stuff like that, and I don't know. There's certain guys that, again, it's just people talking. It's like biggest example I can give you is like Seth Rollins. Like whether he was face or heel, he was always getting accused of trying to pop the fans, even when he was a heel kind of thing. And that always kind of stuck with me. I think that was the first time I thought about it, but it was just kind of like, yeah.
I think when you're at that level and you've got somebody like Seth, who obviously started off as a heel, then he turned into a face with the Shield, and then he went back to heel, and then he went back to face. When you're constantly chopping and changing, the fans still know that Seth Rollins is known for the Falcon's Arrow. He's known for doing a 450 splash. He's known for the stomp. He's known for the pedigree. You can't just then take that move set away from him of what he's built up. So I think it's, that's his move set. That's what we've grown to know as Seth Rollins moves. It's like The Rock with the People's Elbow. When he was a heel, he didn't stop doing it. It was just the way he did it was different. And the same with Stone Cold with a stunner. I think it's really hard to suggest that somebody's trying to get themselves over by doing what they have worked so hard to make known with themselves.
Totally there, totally valid. I was just kind of interested in your sort of side. Obviously, from speaking to people who work both sides, it's always nice to kind of get a take on. I wouldn't do this if I was heel, but I would do it if I was face. But like, that was the perfect way of describing it, as you sort of said.
I think there's only one move in my move set that I wouldn't do as a heel, and that's a 619, and that's about it.
That's such a babyface move. There's no way you can do that as a heel.
Yeah, I think there's extreme ones like that which you can literally go, yeah, that's a babyface move. But whenever anybody sees a 619, there's only one person you think of, and that's Rey Mysterio. It's not, that's Adonis Payne's move. It's, he's copying Rey Mysterio, because that's basically what it is.
The only way you can make it as a heel is if you kept trying to do it and kept fucking it up, kind of thing. That would get you. But again, it depends what kind of heel you are, whether you want to be the heel that messes up moves, or if you're deadly serious, then just don't touch it.
That's why my finishing move of just doing a top rope sort of Macho Man style elbow drop is brilliant for when I'm a heel, because I can do that. Like you say, you go up the top, you start talking to the fans, give the babyface enough time, you jump, they roll out the way, double down, comeback. Like it's there. I think if you don't utilize those moves to make yourself look stupid as a heel, then you're not doing the crowd a service, because the crowd want to see you mess up. They want to see you get too arrogant, too confident, and then ultimately mess up.
Well, I mean, that stems back from, like Ric Flair. I mean, it's like one of the greatest, in some people's opinions, one of the greatest of all time. And, you can look at any Ric Flair match and he's getting thrown off the top turnbuckle. He's, getting too overconfident, and then the face is obviously getting the better of him, and he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, kind of thing, and
potentially of all time, really, in some people's opinion.
In some people's. I like the fact that you call it the Macho Man elbow, though. Massive mark for Macho Man. So the fact that you actually find it as the Macho Man elbow.
I think there's the elbow drop has been done so many different times. That there's so many different styles to it. You've got Shawn Michaels who flick the arm in the air, or you've got, like, for me, the way I do it is same to Macho Man. The elbow's always there, and I'm just going to drive it into you. And I think that's probably my mental state of not being able to do two things at once. I'm focusing on my jump and my landing rather than flinging my arms around. But that's probably just me. But I think the way I've always learned it.
yeah, it looks sturdy. It looks forceful. Just watch the ribs, because that was the biggest thing, I think, because I remember. I think I can't remember what match it was, but I remember reading somewhere about Macho Man breaking 2 ribs because he landed the way he landed. Because, like I say, he just comes down stiff.
Yeah, you're all coming down on your side. I think it does take a toll on your hips and you know, like you say, your midriff. But ultimately, if you get the perfect one, if you get a peach of an elbow drop, then there's no beating it, in my opinion.
Fully agree. And it is such a it's a classic move. And I would like to sort of see a bit of a rewind in wrestling mentality when it comes to moves. In that sense, talking to RJ Singh, is on a mission to make the DDT like, you know, the baddest finisher on this planet again, kind of thing.
Yeah, he
you know,
loves the DDT, does RJ?
Yeah, that's it. But you can work matches around it. You know, it's like a throwback to Jake the Snake. You know, it's like working a whole match about trying to hit this DDT, and that was it. Because once you hit it, match done. But if the other guys,
every time I've worked with RJ, seen him work, his whole matches are around that DDT, and it's a system that just doesn't fail. Whether he's a heel, whether he's a face, he teases the DDT, he doesn't get it, or if he's a heel, he'll go for it and he misses out. He's brilliant at what he does, and I find it so hilarious how much he loves the DDT, because I'm always trying to wind him up. I keep telling him that you're going to hit me with a DDT and I'm going to kick out at 2. Or when he's watching a match on my show, I keep teasing him that I'm going to hit a DDT and just not cover him. Or thigh slap my leg as he DDTs me. I've got a few ideas in mind, but I just don't think I could bring myself to face the wrath of RJ afterwards. So these ideas are hilarious in sort of circumstantial opinions, but I couldn't do it to him because I know how much it means to him.
That's funny as well, because he's such a chilled out guy. You know what I mean? He's just probably like, but I could just imagine him just losing his shit. You know, you dare besmirch the DDT. It's like,
one of my funniest things that I've seen at a show. I was sat in the crowd for this as well, but they had at East last time, they had a balcony where you could see some of the guys watching the matches, and RJ was watching. I can't remember what match it was, but someone hit a DDT. And it wasn't the end of the match. It wasn't the finish. And I just see him stand up from his seat with his hands on his head and just start walking off the balcony to the back. And I'm sat there looking up, and I think Tommy Kyle was up there just laughing at him. He's just lost his head in that moment.
It's like, no, that's it. You can do whatever you want. You just do not besmirch the DDT.
Yeah, wrestling was ruined for him that day.
That's mental. Bless him. But I like that kind of sort of stuff, because it just, again, you know, as a fan, you kind of read this or you hear this, and I remember reading somewhere, and it kind of stuck with me, is that any move can be a finishing move.
Yep.
As long as you tell a story behind it, or you know, you sell it, you make that move like the deadliest. You could finish a match with an armbar as long as you make that armbar look like the deadliest move, you know, on the planet in that match.
Yeah, I think nowadays as well, it's one of those things where so many finishing moves have been done that people are trying to innovate new ideas and new finishing moves. When ultimately, you know, some things, the older stuff, sometimes it just works best, and it may not always look pretty, or you might not nail it first time, but if you put the work in training, then you can get it to that way. But at the same time, there are some finishing moves which are just fantastic that you see around the place. And there's so many different takes. All it is one move that's done slightly differently a lot of the time, and that's the tweak in the finisher or a combination of things. But I mean, we're going back to him again, but Scotty Rawk's spinning back kick, it's simple, but it looks like he's just knocked someone out. I mean, it's basic, but it can come out of nowhere. And like you say, you can tell a story from it.
Yeah, but it's weird you said that, because I was going to mention Scotty afterwards, but obviously for the more mainstream people watching, as a reference point, I was going to obviously say Malachi Black. I was going to say Black Mass. That is, for me, one of the best finishing moves at the minute, because it's just, and it looks real. If you connect with that right, you've legitimately just potentially knocked a guy out.
Well, I know someone that did get knocked out of it, Truman Roswell. he didn't protect himself enough against Scotty and took one right on the chin. And, you know, that it shows what we do is obviously still very dangerous and whatever else, but it shows how lethal that that kick really is in a real fight. That just because we're in a wrestling circumstance doesn't mean that it's not lethal.
Exactly, and that's what I like the elbow drop, like the the DDT. You get dropped on the top of your head.
Yeah,
all those kind of moves, especially just ones that can be hit very quickly out of nowhere. Not so much the elbow drop. Obviously you've got to set up for that, but it's still very much a sudden impact. I'm a fan of those kind of maneuvers.
Yeah,
and so I'd like to see that sort of come back. I'm just happy that you're doing the elbow drop, man, because that to me that ticks my box. I'm like, yep, sorted.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. My hip's taken a toll from it, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you think you'll eventually adjust? You'll be a bit more ground based in a few years.
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say now, because right now I get a good reaction. People know, I got a video from this Saturday just gone where you can hear clearly in the video of my elbow drop a kid shouting, "Oh, it's the Olympus elbow." And the fact that people know that, and
nice.
My own made up name for this move has resonated with a child in the crowd is one of those things where it's like, that's what they know me for now. They know if they come into an Adonis Payne match, I'm either going to go up top to hit the elbow, I'm going to miss it, or one of those things is going to happen. But they know that that's the final blow, that when that move gets hit, that should be the 3.
Yeah, nice. That's obviously a massive part of why you're in the business. You want the fans to be remembered. You want the fans to be involved. And like I said, man, you've got a kid shouting out your move before you actually do it. But yeah, again, tick the box. Jobs are done.
Exactly.
You can go home happy.
Yeah, exactly that. When I got that video, it was one of those ones, because it was literally the first time I'd heard that, where someone says, "Oh, that's that." Like whether they were talking to friends, family, what, I don't know, but it was like, that's what he's going for. Watch this kind of thing.
That's awesome. I've just seen that we've hit the hour mark. Apologies for the technical issue earlier. For some reason, my phone just got very, very hot and it decided
Not
to
a
lose
problem.
connection. So cool down. Anything you want to sort of obviously plug? You've got Busy Ass June coming up. Do you know where you're going to be in July yet? Is there anything we should be looking out for?
I think we've got a few in July. I'll just check my calendar. I think we've got, there's a few in July, not too many. I'm not sure whether they've been confirmed or if I'm at liberty to say just yet, so I'll try and keep that silent. But yeah, just the usual. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter's at Adonis Payne, most of them, or at Adonis Payne PW. I've got a new line of merch coming out soon as well, so that'll be good fun when that finally gets here. That's a cartoon picture of me jumping off a Coliseum with an elbow drop. So
nice. I was going to say you need to get the elbow drop on some merch, because it's just again, it's iconic, it's memorable. So that's awesome.
That's the next line. And obviously all the dates that we discussed earlier on in June, I suppose. So if you want to check us out, then
plenty of chances to do it. So and hopefully, like I sort of said, we'll see you back up here. Obviously, I'm no doubt you'll be back at Tidal. And then around this area, there's a few good promotions around here. Get a few more miles on the clock. Get another playlist created.
I'd love to come up further north for certain. Definitely, there's quite a few that are popping off at the minute that I've got my eye on. Obviously the big ones like Solve Pro. Then you got Wrestle Island, Atomic as well, which has just kicked off, True Grit, and many more that you see popping up and coming around. And I'm like, I wouldn't mind getting my eye in there.
Yeah. Right. Well, fingers crossed for you, dude. Because I think it's I'll say you've been doing it properly for like a couple of years.
I think 2 years in September, really.
Oh, there you go. It's not even 2 years yet. So where you are now within a 2-year bracket is impressive as hell. So the only way's up. So I think we will see you on many, many more shows soon. Either yourself or establishing yourself as, how many belts you got at the minute? 2. So
just the 2 at the minute. Just the 2. I've only got 2 shoulders, so
just 2 belts. Well, I expect in about 12 months I want to see that Ultimo Dragon picture of you and Artemis just with loads of tag belts all over.
Either that or the Doris picture from modern day. I think he's got about 12, doesn't he?
Yes, he has. Yeah, I did notice that one. I saw that, and it's like, obviously, he's got singles, and it's same as yourself. Obviously, he's doing very well as singles, smashing it as boisterous behaviour as well with Leon Slater. So there's another
very talented guys.
Definitely. Dude, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a blast, man. Hopefully
not a problem at all, anytime.
And thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, do the normal stuff that you do when you're watching things on YouTube, and we will see you again very soon.